great moments in Colorado State athletics history echo from the Aggies of 1955 to the Rams of today.
Leonard Mason seals the game for the Rams. Colorado State comes in at Boulder and pulls the upset. The final score, Rams 23, Buffalo 17.
Tonight we step back to reflect on the achievements of the Colorado State Hall of Fame class of 2009. We honor and celebrate student athletes who add to our tradition of greatness and strengthen our foundation of excellence. Jeannette Beitz Crawshaw achieved high school All-American status in swimming at Fort Collins High School. She went away to UCLA and became a freshman All-American, then transferred to Colorado State to swim under John Matos, where she racked up even more All-American honors.
The main reason why she had so much success is because she had such a great attitude. She really liked to push herself. There was no question that she wanted to excel because she worked hard, because she challenged herself, and because she had that natural ability. She was able to excel at the highest level in college swimming and become an All-American.
She was an amazing athlete. She gave 110% every opportunity that she got. She was very much a team player, and I think part of that is that's what John Matos wanted from everybody. So she was very supportive of everybody, and she was amazing.
Allison Rogers arrived as a freshman and blossomed under Jeannette's leadership and friendship.
She really kind of took me in, showed me the ropes, I guess you want to call it. Jeannette was and is like a sister to me. She was someone who cared about me in every aspect of my life, not just swimming. And I think she was that way with a lot of people.
In 1991, Jeannette won the Frank Award for Best Female Athlete and was named NCAA Woman of the Year.
She led with her ability just to get up when it was race time, when it was crunch time. She's still in the top 5 in our 50 and 100 freestyle all time.
She also earned academic All-American honors in 1991, and today she joins a select group who inspires us all.
I'm just very, very proud of her that she was able to achieve a Hall of Fame success here at Colorado State. I think she's extremely deserving of that. You just don't find athletes of her nature that come along that often.
I am excited for her and couldn't be more proud.
Kevin Sheesley wrestled and played football at Colorado State from 1977 to 1982, earning 4 letters in both sports. He won the WAC wrestling title 3 times at 190 pounds and was a 2-time MIWA champion and Western Regional champion.
He was a tremendous competitor. He competed in football. He was a linebacker for the Rams. And then when the football season's over with, after then they were playing a 10-game schedule. He'd come right into the wrestling room and then go to March and then spring practice. He did this 4 years. This is exceptional.
Kevin was probably one of the most intense athletes that a person will ever meet. He had a work ethic that was just unparalleled. Kevin is old school tough.
He was the starting outside linebacker his junior and senior years and was named to the Colorado State All-Century team.
Kevin seemed to have a knack for coming up with a big play when we needed it. He'd come up with the interception, he'd come up with the sack or the knockdown.
I remember one game when I think he was early in his career, they put him in, and I remember him picking off the ball and going for a touchdown, and almost looked like a running back when he got his hands on the ball.
In 1982, Kevin won the Nye Award for Best Male Athlete at Colorado State.
If you check a record in that, he's the winningest wrestler in Colorado State history. And the wrestling goes back into the 30s.
Really makes me happy. I mean, that he is recognized in this way because he is truly I feel like one of the best all-around athletes that this school has produced.
He was a model student athlete, and I can't say congratulations to him enough. It was my pleasure to have a chance to be his teammate.
Pat Durham was at the center of one of the greatest periods in Colorado State basketball. He set many records, including career scoring, season scoring, and career rebounds. Boyd Grant knew Pat was destined for greatness the first time he met him.
When I met Pat Durham, and I shook that hand, and he had the biggest, softest hands I think, of any player that I ever coached. And I was really impressed with his hands. The whole time I coached him, every time we go out for a game, I'd make sure that I grabbed a hold of Pat's hand, because it always gave me confidence.
Pat had a soft touch, but worked hard to catch Coach Grant's eye. Pat shared his head coach's philosophy, and as a team, they sprinted all the way to the NCAA tournaments.
When you get into a Boyd Grant system, you're kind of tempoing the defense, you're tempoing the offense, and I think Pat played really well into that.
He probably was as good a pressure player as I've ever coached. In other words, when the game was on the line, Pat was always there.
In 1989, Colorado State won the WAC championship, much to the delight of the sold-out Moby Arena. The good times were here again.
Coach Williams always said that Bill Green was the best player that he ever coached, and Pat was, he was my Bill Green. I mean, he was the guy that when the game was on the line, we got the ball inside to Pat.
In 1989, Pat was named the Conference Player of the Year and also won Colorado State's Nye Award.
Pat is a winner. His heart was to be out on the court and to do the best he could to see victory. And I think CSU got to see a special time of really basketball at CSU, to see a player of his caliber mature to the level that he did.
He would be in the top 5 players that I ever coached. And I feel so good that, that he's going in and representing that time that I was at Colorado State University as the basketball coach.
First and goal at the 9-yard line. Here's Moses, fakes, now rolls, wants to fire down the middle, touchdown Rams! That is going to be
Moses Moreno played quarterback at Colorado State from 1993 to 1997. He ranks among the top 5 in passing touchdowns, total passing yards, and total offense. He was there at the beginning of the Sonny Lubick era.
Moses was very integral part of all of the success that we had during that 10, 12-year stretch there.
Oh, he was a fierce competitor. You know, off the field, he was a great friend, and I'm so happy for him. When he got on the field, he was just a stone-cold leader.
Moses led by example on the field, letting his arm do the talking. But when the time was right, he wasn't afraid to speak up.
All the words came out of his mouth. They meant something. He wasn't a rah-rah type of person.
Moses walked the walk. He was very quiet, but when he did speak, when he did say something, the players listened to him.
Moses was complete. You know, he was smart, he was tough. He had some really good physical skills in terms of, you know, getting the ball out quick. Maybe one of the most accurate passers I've ever been around.
Moreno wants to throw on first down.
In 1997, Moses led his team to the WAC title and a victory in the Holiday Bowl, one of the most memorable moments in CSU football history.
Probably one of my greatest joys in coaching was to watch him develop from you know, just a guy coming out of high school with no fanfare to 5 years later, he's a Conference Player of the Year, and we're walking off the field having beat Missouri in the Holiday Bowl.
He was named WAC Player of the Year and Holiday Bowl MVP. through it all, he was known as a cool customer.
I remember we all have butterflies in our stomachs. We're getting ready to go out onto the field there, and I walked back in the restroom, and there you are in there combing your hair. I said, Moses, you got to put your helmet on. You're not going to see that. He's worried about how his hair looked, but I think he went out and threw for about 300 yards that afternoon.
Moses was given the Nye Award in 1998.
He deserves the Hall of Fame because you just look what he's done.
I can't tell you how proud I am of him, how deserving I think he is of this award. When you talk about people being perhaps the greatest or one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play at a university, that's quite an honor, and I think that's what everyone says about Moses Moreno.
Again, the Rams try to work right tackle. Cecil Sapp bursts through a hole at the 30. He's at the 35 in the open. At midfield, Cecil Sapp at the 40, the 30. He's at the 20. Cecil Sapp at the 10. Cecil Sapp is a grown man, dog. It's a Ram touchdown.
From 1999 until 2009, Rich Bircumshaw was the voice of the Rams. His legendary calls on the field and court will resonate throughout time. There was always joy in his voice because he truly loved following the Rams.
Rich was one of the best people I've ever known in my 15 years as a football coach here. He was a fiercely loyal person.
Rich was a professional. He realized you had to keep the broadcast on an even keel the best you could, but you couldn't take away the fact that Rich loved CSU.
I would tell you that no one felt better than Rich Bircumshaw when CSU won, and no one felt worse if we lost.
Rich's spirits and influence live on in those who had the privilege to work with him.
You couldn't spend 1 minute with the guy, let alone 10 years, without learning a lot about how to treat people. And he made it his point to treat everybody like gold. It didn't matter if you were the starting quarterback or if you were a walk-on who was never going to see the field. He treated you all the same, and he treated you like gold, and that's something that you take with you.
Radio show with Rich Bircumshaw Wednesday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Stonehouse Grill.
Rich had a unique personality and wit that permeated throughout his broadcasts and made him unforgettable.
We would tease him, and we'd give him, on Saturday morning, the day of the game, we'd give him a word, pull a word out of the sky, and he'd always find a way to work it into the text of a broadcast.
It was Brian Roth and myself and Rich sitting down at the breakfast table there at the hotel, and I had waffles, and I'm sticking my fork in the waffles. He goes, Brian, what the heck are you doing? I go, I don't know, I'm ventilating my waffles so my butter can get down inside the waffle. Rich pulls out his pen, he goes, that's going in the broadcast tonight.
Van Pelt wants to go deep down the left sideline, wide open, and the catch at the 35-yard line. It's Matt Bartz at the 20, at the 10. Matt Bartz will high step it into your end zone, and how about that for ventilating your waffles? And welcome to our Ram Basketball Report. We're going to visit with...
Rich hosted the Ram Basketball Report that aired on local TV for many years.
He'd be the first to admit, and he'd say it publicly, he had a face made for radio. Nonetheless, he did a fantastic job with our TV shows.
Our friend and our former colleague, Rich Bircumshaw, longtime voice of the Rams.
Knowing Rich, the last place he ever thought he'd end up was on the big screen at Folsom Field.
Rich deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, not only for the nature of what his professionalism is in broadcasting, but I think if you really looked at Rich, he cared. He was CSU through and through, and he gave his all.
He was as unique of a person that you're going to find, and I think everybody realized that, and anybody that came into contact with him knew he was a special person, and so I think it's very, very deserving, and I'm very proud. You think about the great names that have been there, and I know that Rich would say, oh, Fum McGraw, some of these great players have come through here, and I have no business being there. He does. He does, and he was a champion for this university. And one of his best calls, I also think, was one of his last calls, the final run by Gartrell Johnson in the New Mexico Bowl.
Give off to Gartrell, off the left side. He's got the 30, he's got the 40, he's in the open, at midfield, Gartrell go, at the 40, at the 30, 20, at the 10, 5, Gartrell Johnson, touchdown, Colorado State. Gartrell Johnson just went the distance, he just went going 77 yards.
Tonight we celebrate achievement and moments we'll never forget.